one thing that a lot of you, like, especially those of you who are like new to the scene, maybe you aspiring authors out there, or just getting started in like self-publishing or indie publishing, what you need to understand is that a lot of these individuals in this sphere operate within the same circles of influence. If this desperate behavior stems from a money issue, maybe try putting down the pen and picking up a calculator and just go study finance. Okay, you'll do a lot better off in the long run, and you won't have to kind of make a mockery of yourself. Because I will say, an artist doesn't become a creative writer for the sole purpose of making money. All right, that's not why artists get into creative writing. That's not why an artist, keyword artist, would get involved in creative writing. Now, if it's just about expanding your readership, all right, and you think there's someone in this booktube space that would genuinely appreciate, keyword here, that would genuinely appreciate your work, then I suggest you start by putting in some genuine effort on your end and get to know the individuals that you're dealing with. You know, if this is going to be some sort of business thing. All right. So I laid out some, a little bit of advice because I want this to be a learning experience. Okay. So this is what I say. This is what I suggest. Take it or leave it. Number one, actually subscribe to their channel. Start supporting them. You know what I mean? Start and not only like showing a little support, but actually, so you avoid the social faux pas, the person I mentioned earlier. Maybe actually watch their videos. Okay, in which case you would have known that Moid does not read indie books, or at least he doesn't read them upon request. Okay, he just doesn't do that. But aside from that, do they even post book reviews on their channel? Because not all booktubers are cut from the same cloth in that regard. There's some booktubers that are literally in this thing just for the aesthetic. Like, they just like the book. There's this thing called book aesthetic, where it's like they just want to like make videos of them showing off books. So they mostly do just book hauls in front of their done up bookshelves with all their knickknacks and their Funko Pops. And they do like, hey, watch me reorganize my bookshelf type videos, that type of stuff. And they don't even do book reviews, some of these channels. So maybe you actually want to know the type of content that they post before you just go shipping out your books all willy-nilly. Do they even another thing is, do they even spotlight indies in any shape, fashion, or form? Because some of these booktubers, they refuse to even acknowledge independent publishers or independent authors or self-pubbed authors. So they just strictly read the classics. They're only going to read Western canon. They don't care about contemporary literature. They couldn't care less about it. And then another thing that kind of goes in that same vein with actually watching their videos is, what do they read? Are they niche? Some booktube channels, all they read is horror, or all they read is sci-fi, like I mentioned before. And then number three, so number one, subscribe to their channel. Number two, actually watch their videos. Maybe engage, start leaving some comments and stuff like that. Don't just come out of the blue. I just want to start by saying I love your channel, even though it's clear that you don't even know anything about the guy. Anyways, number three, reach out to them ahead of time. I would say save yourself, and this is more of you doing a favor to yourself as an artist. Don't value your work. You know what I mean? Value your work. Don't just go shipping off your work willy-nilly to people who aren't even asking for it. Okay, that's not a good look for you. And like I said, a lot of these booktubers, they talk to each other. behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? So you're really not doing yourself any favors, especially when you just like mass ship them, because they'll talk, oh yeah, oh, you got a book from that guy too? Yeah, I got one last week from that guy. Things get around the grapevine is what I'm saying, that people probably don't think about before they have this bright idea to just start willy-nilly just mass shipping freebies. So reach out ahead of time. I think that's more respectful, more tactful, and it saves you face, because it's more respectable. Even if they're not interested, you still save face because you're reaching out to them ahead of time, and you've done your homework in the sense that you've actually been watching their videos, so you know what they're into, so you can write them an email. You don't have to be tacky about it and write them a handwritten letter. Just reach out to them via email if they provide one, and say, hey, I've been watching your channel for a while. I see you're into these type of books. I see that you review indie authors. I also see that you've read books by this famous author, that famous author. I'm coming out with a book that's kind of in the same vein of so-and-so, with themes like such and such book. You know what I mean? Does this sound like something that you would be interested in reading? Because if so, I will send you a copy. That goes a long way. Just a little bit of correspondence. You know what I'm saying? Because the only reason why I'm even bringing this up is because there's this thing where there's still this like divisive, there's still like this divide between indie and trad pub, where, at least in the booktube sphere, I feel like more and more creators are starting to come around, but in the, but there's still like this kind of like divide, this stigma, if you will, around the indie sphere. And it's behavior like this that I'm talking about here that really doesn't help matters any for indies. It's getting to the point where it's like, I'm not even going to, it may get to the point where like, I may not even feel it's necessary to identify myself as an independent author. Like, I'm just an author, period. You know what I mean? And people can take it for whatever it's worth, based on my work. I might get to that point. But I do like to spotlight indies, and I do believe in the indie sphere. It's fun, it's community-based activity, it's enjoyable. But we got to clean things up, because we got to call out the behavior. That's what this hot topic is really about. It's about calling out the nonsense and kind of shining a spotlight on that and saying, hey, when people get caught with their pants down, hey, caught you with your pants down, shame on you. That is gross. And just really lay it in there. So people are like, ooh, I don't want to be that guy.